John 21, 3 through 6 talks about Peter and the disciples going fishing and how that whole night they were unable to catch anything until Jesus comes on the scene and instructs them to cast their net to the right. But before I get to that, I do want to talk about his decision to even go fishing. The Bible doesn't tell us why, so I can just speculate. Something to think about for all of us. We know the stories about Peter from all the Gospels, and I cannot help but think that he is just like one of us. Thank God that Christ does not just use the Nathaniels that are without guile, but he uses people like Peter too. We know what happened before this, right? He denied Jesus, someone he pledged to die for. But he did not deny him once, not twice, but 3 times. And he even denied knowing who he was when confronted by people he didn't even know. And he cursed. I can just imagine what must have been going on in his heart. Then he goes on to see the resurrected Christ face to face. Whatever led him to make the decision to go fishing, I think it may have been because he wanted to go back to what he knew how to do. Look at his history of failure and what was in front of him. He probably wanted to go to his comfort zone. In this story of the last miracle, Peter tries to do what he thinks he can do with no success. Christ comes on the scene with his words directing him where to drop his net. And as we know, there were more fish than they can draw in. The point for us, I think, is that when we are called by God, despite how ill-prepared or unschooled we think we are, he will still use us if we follow his words. Jesus chose Peter, despite Peter. Jesus chooses us, despite us. I don't think Peter could ever go back to fishing. The only way Peter was going to be successful at anything is if he listened to Christ's words. And boy, was he successful, right? Acts tells us all about that, as well as 1st and 2nd Peter. Why? Because of the Holy Spirit. We cannot do the work of God, even when he calls us, unless we wait on the Holy Spirit, which we know Peter went on to do. Hey, he did something right. So when God calls you, listen to the word of Christ, be filled with the Holy Spirit, and allow him to lead you, and you will not go wrong in what God has called you to do, and no matter what it is. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.